This time we'll call the meeting, the January 24th, 2022 meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd just like to take this time to welcome our new town attorney, Bridget Morley. Thank you very much, Bridget. Hello, everybody. Hi. All right, we'll start with our work session in the West Falls Fire Department. And who's representing tonight, Connor? Yeah. Hey, you guys want to come up? Connor, I'm not sure if that mic is on. Just click the switch there. You can take it, you want to sit down, and you want to hold it, whatever you want to do.
Hi, everyone. I'm Connor Schneider, Commissioner of the Aurora Fire District, as are John Farrell and Joe Calkins here. We are basically coming here today because we've been made aware that the town has received funds from the American Rescue Plan, and we are currently predates me as becoming commissioner. They've been in the works for a while to come up with a project to improve on our current facilities and expand and build another building. Essentially, we just wanted to, I don't know if Joe or Jim would like to talk a little bit about what we're planning to do, because they know we're kind of long than I have.
Commissioner. So the project that we have, it's mainly around improving the safety of the building and some of the things related to our operations. The major issue we have right now is the roof line in the building where it comes off the side right for our entrance doors for our Rescue 7 and also the back exit for our ambulance. Causes ice damage in the winter, and it's also caused water leaks inside the building. Creates safety condition for people coming in. There's 2 entrance doors right near that area that people walk through, so we're trying to address that. The other thing within the building, there's very tight space between the front and back of the engines that people have to pass by, which creates a safety condition. So that's part of the reason we're looking to build the other tractor building on the side, is to move some of the rescue equipment, our rescue truck, our snowmobiles, and our ATV trailer out to that area, so it creates up some space so we can safely walk through the building. We're also, as part of this, trying to address an issue where all of our gear currently is right next to the apparatus, so right next to the ambulance and the trucks. So when the trucks get washed, our gear gets wet. The trucks are started. All those fumes from the trucks go onto our EMS gear, go onto our fire gear, which is not the American Cancer Act. It's not an ideal condition. So another part of the project is creating a separate room that the gear is housed in, along with a decon room, so that when we do come back from something such as a structure fire, we can decon our equipment, store it away, and it's not in the areas that people are traveling, not in the areas that the community would be. The other part as well is taking our common area that we have, making that area a little bit larger so we have water and shelter in place. Also create a larger space for the community and allow us to have our installation dinner there versus heading some of our rooms at elsewhere. A couple of things, major things in the project, obviously more smaller detail things that we're working on, but we'll get to see what kind of funding is available. The process right now of funding the project. So this is what Connor brought to us, that where there was some funding that we received, and we wanted to see what was available. What portion of that project qualified for bringing that.
John Farrell, Park Commissioner's Office, EMS Lieutenant, the first aid squad. I have some pictures on my phone. We got put on the agenda sort of late. I apologize for that. I didn't have pictures of the project condition within our our home. The main reason we want to recommend renovation, as Joe just spoke briefly about, is that because our conditions are getting planned, someone is going in for the 2022 in the safety issue. So mentioned, can't become no station that any one house should not have here adjacent to equipment. This breaks down the layer of the surface of what we call our buffer here. Also, the fact that it's got pictures I can share with board members after the meeting. Send them to you electronically. In great condition. We got right now our ATVs and our snowmobiles are parked in the main hall, right next to the engines, which makes it very difficult to, when an emergency situation arises, for the crews to easily access compartments of the engines. You can go out, battle with whatever the fire conditions are out there. Also, behind the engines our hall was designed many years ago, and the length of the truck bays is not really accurate. That picture is showing that the front of the trucks are about 18 inches away from the doors to the bays, to exit the building. Behind the trucks, there's enough room for one person to pass. In an emergency, firemen are grabbing their gear and they're running fast. You can't have one person passing. It does not behoove us in an emergency response in this condition. So these are some of the things that I can freely, Jim, I can send pictures to anybody you want. Phone after the meeting.
Is there a timeline that you're looking at?
We've spoken to our attorney and we're looking, Jim, right now to put together a bond proposal for publication. Obviously, it's going to be quite expensive. We're talking about 1.7 mil. And the attorney, hopefully within about 2 or 3 weeks, is going to have a bond resolution for us published. And then after the publication, by August 27 to 34 days, the public vote should be taken. So if we can get some resolution or some assistance from the town board on funding, then obviously we're not going to be public for that much more. By the way, we know, of course, that a great portion of the town of Aurora is covered by the West Falls Fire District, as well as the fire district here in the village. And money that we save by our responses, all volunteer company, and we're a 24/7 organization. So any assistance you can give us will help.
As far as project timeline, it's been a 2-phase project. First would be the additional building that I mentioned for the rescue equipment that would allow us to move some of the equipment we have out. If we are able to hit the timeline as far as funding, we're probably looking at fall of this year. We've already gotten our variance that we need for that building toward the end of last year. And then the main hall renovation will probably go into spring of next year, just general timeline.
That was actually one of my questions is to me, it looks like this is like 2 separate properties.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And you're right on the line there. So I mean, you're gonna join the properties to be one or no?
No, we already got the variance that we needed, because that smaller property is so narrow. The variance that we need on both sides, one of them obviously adjacent to our property, we already have that.
Okay, and maybe it was just the way it was drawn, but it looks to me like the new proposed building backs onto the
It's
where
right
the
on
existing
it's right on the property.
right on the property line. And you've got 2 different designs here, right? Right, this property, one has a wing coming out the front, and the other one is just a rectangle.
Yes, so. Yeah, so that, what you see up there now is actually the main hall, the final plan we have for that. So what you see on the top left there, which is our new day room, that is currently
except for what extends beyond the front of the building, that is coming for our ambulance is housed. Behind that, which is where the gear room and storage room would be, is where the rescue center is housed. So the plan is to move the ambulance over one bay, so we will have 3 bays there. 2 fire apparatus, one ambulance. And then where you see the array of tables there, a portion of that is our current day room, and we turn into one room area. The rest of the building, the bathrooms, the kitchen area, all that will remain the same.
I don't see that sheet depicted on this survey. Is that? I see how it doesn't have that would be it for this section. Oh,
Correct, yeah, and,
you gotta extend that.
yeah, there's a
that
slight,
line.
correct, so slight extension on the front and also extension on the back, correct,
That just-
correct, yeah.
I have a quick question for you, if I may. I know that you guys have traditionally had serious issues with flooding. Is that been taken into consideration with this new building?
Yeah, so we, one thing with that, we did have some work done earlier this year to address the culvert issue on the south side of the building, so that project has already been completed. So that part of flooding. As far as the building front and the side, that will be addressed. So that's part of what we have, we're working with the architects on is the lay of the land for the new parking lot. How do we divert that water that's coming down both ways? How do we make sure we can get that out and away from the building? So yes, that is part of this project.
And is there a project, looking at this photo right here, where you see the 3 bays, is that area where you have the trucks that could be expanded as well to help ease some of the space problem?
No, so the one of the engines temporarily will be in the other building. We're in the process of trying to sell that apparatus. We currently have 3 and we really only have a need for 2. So that's part of this as well as trying to temporarily house it in another building. Apparatus. We're going to take our longest engine and move it furthest to the south side of the building. So away from where the gear is. That's what the other part is. If you look at where that man door is on the south side of the building, that's where most of our fire gear is now, because all of that will be on the north side. When people come in from the parking lot, that's the first room they'll come into. You'll get your gear and then you go to the apparatus. Versus right now, everybody has to go past the apparatus, get their gear, and then come back. So it's, like John said, it's kind of a bit of a free fall because you have space for one person to walk, but people are going in both directions. Right? So by moving that longer one down, it will actually be past even the door that goes into our main common area.
Have you guys reached out to Senator Gallivan's office to talk about any funding opportunities or looked for elsewhere to look for a grant writer or anything like that to try to see if anything's out there?
Jim also, we do have a grant writer that is looking into all the funding. He was looking at different opportunities like Senator Gallivan's office. Also, we were looking into loans through the USDA. The problem with that is we were put to a limit of 15 years to do this, and that became cost prohibitive for us. It's basically double the amount that we could actually afford to pay for the loan, even with the incredibly low interest rates. So that is why at this point we were moving in the direction of doing a bond issue and so forth. We have looked into different things. There are several different grants that we have considered applying for, and that's why we hired this one person that recommended to us by our attorney to handle those kinds of things, financial aspects.
Yeah, let us know how that goes, or if you need any assistance contacting the senator's office or anyone else in the state government. Perhaps we can make that at least try a meeting if you think you need that.
First of all, we all want to thank you for
service you guys provide. All for volunteer fire companies and money to save taxpayers. It's tremendous time you guys put in, one time and safety, and that is all very important to us.
Can I just one anecdote about West Falls? One anecdote about West Falls. So when we were looking at the AMR contract, we reached out to fire districts that are close to the East Aurora Fire District to see if anyone needed any help with their ambulance services. And every time I reached out to a fire district, it was, oh my God, yes, we can't find enough people, and oh my God, yes, we need it so badly. And then I think I talked to you, John, and John's like, nope, we got it taken care of. We're good. So it's an amazing job you do on there. And then I don't remember the figures you were telling me, but to have that with an all volunteer, even with the EMT, is really incredible.
So I don't think anyone's not going to be able to do something for this. We have to determine what we could. And there's a long list of items that we have to do. After some other that was pulled over that with the common attorney. Audits and making sure that projects is being done to municipal standards, the federal standards, and all that. So there's a lot of things. I don't know if you guys want to answer that as far as how we can determine it. We have to got a pot of money here. Got a lot of things we want to do. And we're starting to get requests, so we really gonna have to sit down and determine. And how we I think we have to look at it. Audit, we have to hire an audit, whether we hire our auditor that we have now, we hire another auditor, there's an expense for that. So
yeah,
we're treading on new waters here. So I'm not trying to give an excuse. It's all new. There's a lot of rules. And I strolled your magazine. But get this back to there's a whole article. I think we can talk amongst ourselves, whatever, put a plan together. As far as how much money we have and how much we want, everything, and pick amounts, and then there we have to decide how we administer.
yep.
Did you say you have to go to bonding, or is there a time that you need to go to bonding? It's not like you're looking to do it relatively soon.
We actually would like to shovel.
Okay, so.
Yes, I was on. Just take what's the interest in systems in our endeavors. In lockers, of course, in one of the two lockers, so we're just folks. We figure out some things, and I'm hoping that by the next time we can tell them meeting, we'll just say, let's go on instead of telling attorney.
One of the project itself, so we've been working with architects in each small portion of this project, different areas. We have broken down what the cost is going to be to each of those. So we are considering, and for the purposes of auditing, if there's a portion of that project that you'd like to fund, we can certainly see what the cost is for that portion of the project, rather than if it's going, bits and pieces to a lot of stuff, it's obviously a lot harder to audit. So
That would be certainly helpful, if you could send me.
yes, yeah, we can certainly good enough.
Yeah, I think we, just to echo Jim's statement before, that it's great that you came in and brought this up. And we just need to try to work together and see if it's possible. We can come up with something, but I think we all would like to. So we'll see, get into the details.
Yes.
Can you guys get Connor a coat for next time?
What's that?
You need a coat next time.
Um,
It's over there? Oh, okay, all right. Yeah,
I guess I'll stay here, 'cause I think I'm the next item too.
Yeah, and those, John, if you have the votes, but you've been a part of this, the West Falls advisory as well, I hope you can stay for a minute or two. Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, Heather. All right, hello again. I think you have been out to one of our West Falls advisory committee meetings, and I think 4 or 5 since it was first inception back in November of 2020. We took a little bit of a break, just things going on, but I'm trying to get back into it. And we had a lot of support. Every meeting we've had about 40 attendees. So there's a lot of energy and excitement in West Falls. And like to continue that. But the problem I found is we have all these great ideas, and it's really nowhere to channel the energy. So what I thought would be beneficial is to try and reorganize the way that the committee is structured, and potentially discuss with you guys if it's possible to get to a formal recognition by the town that I could bring back to our committee members, and as a way to have bring a voice to West Falls at the town level. I know this was one of Luke's original ideas, and he's the brainchild behind this. So I'm not sure.
yeah, I think, and we've spoken about this as well. I think it's been a great way to learn about a lot of issues in West Falls. I feel more connected than I did before, because we've really brought up a lot of issues, and there are smaller things like baseball diamond dirt and things at the park that come up, and Dave has a direct line with everybody. It's been a great thing. So we want to try to keep that the residents coming to the meeting, but it has been a little tricky because we need formal minutes and be able to have committee members who have responsibilities and can do things. So I agree with that 100%. I think that the formalizing of the committee, I would be in favor of that. Just some of the things that we've been able to do. We've gotten a lot of great community engagement. We've worked on and tried to get to a point where we can have a welcome to the Hamlet of West Falls sign, like you see up here. We've got the sculpture brainchild back there in Rico, and that's a place to put that in Veterans Park. We talked about some lighting and some other things. We've had 2 senator staff and 1 state senator out in 240 and have that on the list of priorities potentially for some upgrades of lighting and sidewalk and other things down there, but most importantly the drainage issues. There have been improvements made to JP Nicely Park. We've had conversations about rails to trails and be able to start that conversation so that the community is a part of it, and many other things. So the accomplishments in a small time in a slow moving government have been really good. I'd like to see it continue, and so I would be supportive of the committee of creating one. And I think that we've been able to show in the last year and a half that it will continue because there's a lot of energy out there, which was one of our concerns, I think, when we first started looking into it.
Yeah, I can say, Connor, I agree. As you know, I've been at those meetings. I appreciate Luke getting this organized. I appreciate that you've taken the helm on this. Just so the board and the audience knows as well, that we had the first meeting at West Falls Center of the Arts. Very special to me, and I'm on the board there. And we've been able to bring that from something very small to something I think that's somewhat significant. We had our first meeting there. Our second meeting, the fire hall, the fire company was gracious enough to open it up, and it's a great space. And I can't wait to see the improvements, but it was really nice that we were able to put the table down into a sort of rectangle. Everybody could talk with each other. And then we went to the Conservation Club, because they're a big part of West Falls. And Connor, you could probably talk about this, but it was like an episode of Parks and Rec. We show up, we think maybe 5 people are going to show up, and there's 30, 40 people at each and every meeting. And I think I would be in favor of creating it as a committee, because without a committee right now, we've accomplished a lot. Dave Gunner is at the meetings, and that's probably was the most efficient way to get something done. What do you think, Dave? Yeah, I can get it done. The next meeting, well, what about that, Dave? Yeah, I already got it done. So that was really, that was incredible. There's people that have a lot of ideas. People have been coming up to me quite frequently when I'm at the center, asking when we're going to have another meeting, and they're very, very excited about it. So I hope we don't lose the momentum. I think that's something that, you're a native of that area, and John, and you guys have been very gracious, and the new addition, we're really looking forward to the fire hall. You've been wonderful, wonderful neighbors as well. We appreciate that, and I don't know how to put it together as a committee, but I'd be in favor of doing something a little more formal so that we can use this moment.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Do you have any ideas how this would be structured? Anybody really? It would just be a group and they would have a chairman and maybe whatever committee.
Yeah, maybe similar to the library.
And they would report to the board at whatever times they feel.
So Bridget, actually, I asked Bridget to look into this a little bit, and do you want to say your thoughts, or do you want me to just repeat what you said? Okay, so it looks like right now in the town law, it's the supervisor can make committees and appointments to those committees. And so we would have to have a local law if we wanted the board to be able to do that, to have the board be able to make those types of committees. But whatever we would do, it would be up to you now, Jim, if you wanted to, and you could make it, and then we would just have to, come up with the to. Well, if we publicly announce them, we could be there, just like a planning board.
Everything we can have and try to publish them. So the project like it's a one-person show trying to track minutes and publish stuff. So it's trying to have a more formal board to share some of the responsibilities.
When it gets to that point, I'm sure like Martha knows, she publishes about paper.
Can I just jump in? In the past, when we've done like the Recreation Advisory, the State Committee, Open Space, Library, they all have a mission statement, and they brought that mission statement to the board. Once they have the mission statement and their idea of how many members they want and how much they want the terms to be set up, that's when it gets approved and finalized.
We definitely do that.
Are you thinking of just the board being on this committee?
No, I'm thinking, no, residents in West Falls that you would appoint to the committee.
Okay.
So we have 5 or 7, however many, that would vote and provide. It's an advisory board to the town responsible for West Falls issues. So mission statement and then setting up the rules for that and the goals. Yeah.
Definitely, with anyone that's interested in putting, I understand where go. Sure, I don't know how that's beyond it, but I think the idea was that it would be just like planning or zoning, it would be not members of the board that would be on it, but
Right.
we have 2 liaison positions. Was that make sense?
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah. So in terms of what you need is mission statements and go from there.
Yeah. So we can get in touch and we'll work on it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have any thoughts on when the next meeting would be together, or we could discuss this with
Sure. So I've been in the works trying to figure out. Fire commissioner, I have a lot more access to what's going on in the calendar there, so it's easier to reserve the hall. We have our next meeting on February 7th, which I plan to reserve the hall for our next meetings. I don't have the date set yet, but once February 7th comes, I will have the date and hopefully the approval by the board. And then, so I don't have it today, but it's forthcoming.
Thank you, Congressman.
West Falls Advisory Committee, historically, for the last year. It's been meeting, 4 times a year. That adequate to give information back to the county board, or something more, something less?
I don't know, I think initially maybe 4 to 6 times. It's still brand new, and there's a lot of things going on. There's Erie Cat, rail trail. There's the possibility of having 240 redone and
the reason I asked about the number of meetings is because there are so many people in Westfall interested in what's being discussed and also the actions being taken. We want to keep their interest going, keep their interest strong, keep their involvement strong. And of course, I think probably, you know, 4 times a year might be good. So we'll discuss it in our, I don't know what you think.
We have to know the terms too. I don't know if there's how long, but a committee like that.
Well, if it's like our open space committee, I think it's an appointment. We do appoint one every 7 years, so we can maybe just go back to that and use that as a drawing board and just whatever that is. And yeah.
But Jim, just to be clear, I think in the past year they've met 3, 4, 5 times. It's been successful. They can continue to meet until
Obviously,
the decision is made. So that's, don't let that stop you from doing it.
you can meet anytime you want, as long as you know. Exactly. So if you had a special meeting that's not on your calendar, if you want to get in.
Yeah, the problem I was just saying is people were coming here like asking questions about progress to be made. And I found it would be easier, to have communication with the board before, keep going with this. Yeah.
I said, well, the police chief is here. We had the one meeting and we were complaining about speeding. Like the next day, there was someone down there at the fire hall. So it's good.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Next, we have the resolution for the State Senate Bill S7602, the Public Health Law, Relation Establishing Government and City Protection Act. We have the resolution.
I did, yes.
So I think it'd be proper tonight for the meeting that you read it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It was a good idea, a strong idea. All in support of Dave, Leonard, and with the help of Senator Galvin. Anything else on it? Kennel Park agreement. It's been kind of bounced back and forth. The last thing I think I read from you guys was something with utilities.
Yeah, we had a meeting with Village and they advised, or advised, basically there's 2 meters over there, right now the poles in the temple. One on the building with the football concession center on the bathroom, and there's a rec building. So she advised the way to proceed was for us to notify the village canceling our account on that football building, we'll call it, the 2 bathrooms of the concessions. And then as part of the agreement, it's their understanding we would continue to pay utilities on the rec building.
So we would pay our meter and they would pay it.
Exactly. Right now we're paying 2 meters. We would be ultimately just be paying 1 meter, and they would, in order for to facilitate us paying that bill, they would write an addendum to this agreement saying that as part of our usage of the town will be paying that justification for paying utilities on the village road.
Or they would reapprove a new version of the agreement, right? Yeah, one of the two.
They said whichever we prefer.
We could approve this tonight, contingent upon.
Yeah.
Everything else okay with it?
I had a couple questions, Dave. This calls for us to go at a minimum weekly. I believe that's what we're doing, right? With the hand park.
Mostly, but you get into a drought in August. I think we talked about this prior board, that we thought that we were changing the language to mow as necessary.
It's been changed.
Okay. Yeah, generally we do, though, it's almost.
It says more once per week or anything.
Right. We did our wrap up, we got Smith called, all that. They.
Microphone. No, not mask maker. It's what's going on.
We took possession of Smithville off the market, so. All right, anything else on that? Then we'll- Yeah, then
Next was our SRO agreement. I think the last meeting, went up to Wayne, what is it? The explanation of what we're trying to accomplish. Where we at?
Okay, once again, talk Maureen, and, yeah, I satisfied the only, obviously, this is an agreement between the village and the East Shore Police. Our end will be half of that remainder after the school pays a 65% times 2 annual salary, and it looks as though they've added that to the contract language, so that was the only concern I understood that I had anyway, but, you know, that agreement between the village and the police could be changed without our say.
Yeah, so they added the language that's in this version that we have, that's up above there. Because, right, the concern is that we are not a party to that contract between the village and the schools. So we would probably want to approve this, I don't know how we want to do it, the addendum after that contract is signed. Because the current wording in here has, as according to the contract that's signed in 2022. But I think we can do it now, I don't know.
Was there a question on whether, what if the school backed out on an officer?
And that's exactly what this is, so that they cannot amend the contract. If they amend the contract, they can do that, but we won't be paying for that portion. So really, they would need to come to us. So what we've set in here, if Bridget thinks that language proposed by Chris Trapp is okay, then that would allow us to, even if the village and the schools do decide to change something, we're still, our financial contribution is the same as it is as if the agreement was not amended.
I don't know if I have to do this.
Yeah. Maybe a contingent on approval by the town attorney, yeah. Does that work? Yeah, so if you look at that school, this is what the village proposed after we had the conversation. So full-time officer, less reimbursements by East Aurora School District is defined in the SRO contract between the EA School District and the Village of East Aurora signed in 2022.
My understanding is that maximum amount would be around $15,000.
Yes.
Depends on what officer takes that position, so they really don't know the check amount. I think they were giving us a high amount.
Yep.
But officer comes in. It's less.
Correct.
And my understanding from reading it is that it's meant to be sort of a perpetual contract where it ends in June. As long as the parties are satisfied, it's going to continue on a yearly basis. And again, we don't have control of that, but I don't think we're signing on for multiple years, even though that might be the best thing to do. But I don't know that necessarily we're signing on.
Doesn't this become part of the police contract, which is the last one, was for 4 years of package. So
Right, but the part of this contract which ends in June allows the village or the school to say, hey, hold on a second, we want to maybe do something different. And that doesn't involve us necessarily.
It's good. It's good how, in the summertime, we're overtime costs. Much needed thing for us. Thank you. So we're good with it on the agenda, right? All right, next, number 6 is the social media policy.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to bring up and have a short conversation as to what the board feels about using social media for the town. It's important if we're going to proceed with the code red, the ability to text and email. Of course, there's also the ability to post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and everything like that. So we need to at least decide what we want to do, or if we don't want to do it before we would get to that point. So that's why I'm bringing it up now. Personally, I think that, you know, we do have a couple of sites that are out there right now, but without any policy. One is the highway Facebook page. One is the recreation Facebook page. I don't know if the senior center has anything, but those are two I know of. Oh, dog control. Yeah. So it is an effective tool to communicate. For example, the garbage. That's how I found out about the garbage in East Aurora, because it was the emergency management page as well that Sue set up when she was here. So that's how I found out about East Aurora garbage pickup being delayed one day, because it was on that Town of Aurora emergency management page. So there is a benefit to having social media, but we also want to be cognizant of the risks that are there as well. So what are the benefits? You know, crisis and reputation management, increasing trust in the Town of Aurora government, promoting economic development, providing trustworthy and accurate information, increasing resident participation in local government, being able to gather important feedback. Like I said, why now? Because it would be an element of code red if we wanted to use that. And I really do think that I don't have an Instagram account. I don't understand them, but I know anyone that's under 30 does, and that's what they use quite frequently. So it is good for us to be thinking about how we can use different forms of communication, especially for our younger residents. But there are risks and liabilities to any social media use. We would need resources of some sort, whoever is going to be posting. We would need, of course, the protocols, who's allowed to post, when you're allowed to post, what approval processes there needs to be, some best practices, think about what channels, just Facebook or on Instagram, or what do we need? And then, of course, what sites and departments we want to have. Just one Town of Aurora site that everyone can post to, who's allowed to post, or a separate town highway, separate town rec department, or whatever it may be. So here, the mayor for the village of Springville gave me the social media policy that they're using. And there are, of course, some First Amendment issues that we need to think about as well with the comments, whether you're able to delete them or not if the message is inappropriate. And you can see in here the comment policy. And so this gives you some idea of where we could start if we wanted to proceed. So there's a lot of questions, and it's not going to be a quick thing, but I just wanted to kind of get everyone's opinion. Do we want to work in that direction?
I think we should certainly take it to the next step, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And explore all these and see if we can come up with some good answers to all these questions. That's good. That's a lot of questions.
Yeah. So do we get the Chuck and Luke committee back together for one more go? No, so I guess who would want, I don't know, Joe, maybe you're, because you're on social media all the time, maybe you want to take this one, or I'm certainly willing to do it, but if there's others that want to work on this and really like it, that, you know, not to pass it on, of course, I'll really do it.
Excellent intern, like our people, who's a social media bug man yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I use that.
So you're passing it on to.
Yes, I can certainly love it.
Yeah.
I have one question. What is social media?
The liability. She was in before that, and now how there should be.
Right.
So
Yeah, they've been helping any way they can, but looking into it, there is federal money that's available, actually part of that's outside of the stimulus money that came into the town. There is federal money, I believe, that could be used to pay for most of the.
So Joe and Jim, you guys can work together.
All right, Joe, we can do it together.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Unless anyone really wants to. Are you? We got more to do with other stuff too. All right, we'll move forward with it and come up with a draft that we can look in some easy sort of guidelines. Good.
Next is the code enforcement, uniform code administration and enforcement. And that, yes, that's good, I read it. So if you man, I don't want it. Down to your office, you weren't there. I go,
Right. So, on a 3-year cycle, New York State updates their building and energy code books. And so, a couple of the things that have come about, from this, notice of adoption that you have is because they're bringing into the processes and the requirements for my job into a codified section. So basically what it is that Part 1203 of the Uniform and Energy Code sets the minimum standards for administration and enforcement by my office. Tells us what we should be doing and how we should be doing it, and every bit of it, from inspections, violations, complaints, things like that. And then at the end of the year, we have to report on that to you and to the Department of State as well. But so they've given all municipalities that have a code enforcement program, they've given us a model law to look at. And I've started comparing it to our Chapter 65, which was for the enforcement of the state code, was adopted in 1986 and was last amended in 2016 for penalties. So we're a little bit overdue. The whole chapter is actually overdue because it references the superintendent of buildings, which we haven't had since Pat Lizniak retired. So I'm just going to compare the two, if you're okay with that, and then I can send you, my suggestions, and then we can discuss it at a later date if you like. Or if there's board members who want to go over it with me, I'd be happy to do that as well.
I'm fine with you compiling a list of your thoughts and putting it together.
No takers?
I'd be more than glad to.
We're probably with you doing all over.
Yeah, you have our complete confidence.
All right, well, that'll be fine.
Is there a timeline that you have to?
It has to be adopted by the end of December. So now is a good time to get started on it.
When?
End of December of this year.
Okay.
And do you think you're gonna need to go to take a class for this, or any of you?
Oh, no, it's
Okay.
not
It's
drastically
simple.
different in
It's
my
just-
job duty.
it's
It's
just
just
changes.
cleaning up the paperwork, from a administration standpoint.
Thanks, Lord.
Do you need any help or any other resources in order to proceed?
Sorry?
Do you need any help or any other resources or anything from us to get it done?
No. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Anybody, we have, anything else to add to the work session? Before we go to the next meeting? Okay. That'll conclude the work session. We'll go into our regular meeting. And we're going to set it off. We have 3 public hearings. The first one is property at 612 Buffalo Road. Aurora. Hands are as follows, planning and opening of daily at 11 a.m. to lunch, staying open throughout dinner and midnight. Week, Sundays, there will be open breakfast, brunch, crowd at 10. This is menu list. That plans on doing banquets, breakfasts. Music, volleyball, indoor and outdoor bar areas. That's about it. The name will be Anthony, the old American Girls Island here today. So I will open up the public hearing at 7:20. 7:21, and anyone who has anything they would like to talk about on this issue, please come up to the mic and give us your full name and address.
And anyone online, use the raise hand feature or type in the chat.
Nobody from the audience?
Are you the owner? Yes. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, that was bad. That's one people really, I did get my approval for my, license. Conditional, I just got some pictures in. I did that from the health department, fire department, and, the business inspector, or the building inspector to, fill out all those items, tie up. We were, remodeling, painting, cleaning, putting in some new floors and things like that. We just want to make it, a little better than it ever was.
All right. Any questions?
I just got a question. Music, is that indoor, outdoor, or a little both?
It's gonna be a little bit of both. Right now, we're only playing your music, obviously, because it's, winter, and then, in the summer, we might do some acoustic acts outside, inside there.
And then I had a question, I don't know, for you or for Liz, the times you have here are only till midnight, and that seems to be standard in this area.
Yes, that's what I think that, area right now, like words, it's from midnight. I've been around other restaurants, things like everything kind of died out in this town around midnight, so we're gonna follow suit.
Okay, if you wanted to go to 1 o'clock, is there, something that, does he need to come back and ask, or how does that work?
I think we're gonna draw up a special use permit for this, and we'll cover all of those time frames and noise and quite a few things. That's something that our town attorney would draw for us.
Yes, so the next step would be, after the public hearing, we would discuss the covenants that you would put in, especially if there are. So, which would include hours, collaboration, noise, when, how late bands are gonna play, anything, a special use permit that it should be in that agreement. Then the town attorney drafts that agreement and vote to accept that. That's kind of a contract with you, saying this is what you can do, what you can't do. And as long as you work within those design or those areas that we like to do. So technically, you probably would take an action tonight. That must now be gone. Items of special use permits. Again, everybody in mind?
Nope.
I will close this. At 7:24. We could discuss these in the next 2 weeks. Like hours operation, anything you can think of. Pretty much he's got listed there is not a problem with me anyway. It's been there forever. I can say this, that the town, I reached out to supervisor. He texted me back and just said, the building inspector said we don't have any problems with it. I was really looking for an email. And he did not respond to my email, so I guess they don't care. Part of the property is in town. We just wanted to, as a courtesy, yes,
I did talk to Joe Kohler, the code official over in the town of Walnut, and he basically said the same thing, is that the volleyball court and a portion of the parking lot are in the town of Walnut, but it's been in existence for a very, very long time prior to the prior owner of the property. And so they have no objection to it being used in the same manner that it has.
So what we could do is the items he's got listed here in the times could be in the special use.
What we've done in the past, we have a template for the special use permit, when we fill it in, and that's board members. And then should the applicant go over anything that should be changed.
Email it to me.
And then it's put on the next agenda.
Well, I guess what I was saying is what he's got listed here. Go into it, I can't, so I looked at this, I can't.
You know, the previous, I probably don't use what, you know, the previous, owners and say, do they have outdoor music? That, there's a previous use, so the neighbors are used to it, it's not, it wouldn't be something new. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, they had like,
Right, yeah.
and there was years ago, it's like, there was some complaints from the list. That it was like nothing that got fixed, so. So, take action on next meeting. And if you have any suggestions for Bridget, otherwise we'll get them. Things and balance that he's got in there. Stuff we want to add, we should get that done in time to send it to him so that he's okay with it. And then we can go.
Yeah, I mean, I like the hours that he has on there.
Certainly like to see it open.
Yeah.
I watch myself on it.
Okay. All right, our next public hearing.
We have a,
Sorry, I didn't see it.
Roger, Rod Simeon, 85 Library Code, member of the zoning board, just a comment that we granted a sign variance to that location 4 or 5 years ago. We had limited the hours. It was a, that sign was not back, it was a backlit. We limited it to like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock PM. And it was not to be flashing so as to distract from traffic going down one. Just a comment that I would suspect that variance that was granted would be given without change for the new owner.
And if we can put that in this question.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right, the next public hearing is on a short-term rental Airbnb. Road. Question to convert long-term rental with apartment one for short. And we this public hearing. It's 7:29. 7:29. Anyone would like to come out and speak on this issue? Council Mike, can you give us your name? One from the audience. Online. Okay, I will close the public hearing at 7:30. Again, might be some items of question on this. I go through the same procedure for special use. I have a list of questions and stuff that we can go through and the same, so hopefully at that at our next meeting. Okay. And our last public hearing is at 1895 Gators Road Garage Apartment. Requesting to convert a long-term rental with over garage apartment to a short.
Jim, I think you might have said 1895 for the last public hearing. I was that. One was 1887 and one was.
Did I say 1895?
I think you did.
They usually don't make mistakes. Sorry about that.
I don't know if we changed the legality.
Jim, that was totally Joe's fault, so definitely not a mistake by you.
Okay, well, the other one was 1887, this is 1895.
So do we want to do 1887 now?
You didn't bring much. You did 1895 last time.
The 18,
Yeah, we're just closed.
Same thing. We'll open this public hearing at 7:31. Anybody would like to speak on this issue, please come up to the mic. Nobody from the audience? Luke? Anybody?
Nope.
Right, and we'll close that public hearing at 7:32. Yeah. Same requirements that together this department's very especially this when I get over to the applicants. And then we can get to Bridget to especially saying. Everyone all good with that? Okay. Then we'll go on to number 2, which is the approval of minutes. And we have motion to approve the January 10th, 2022 work session and meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
By Chuck, do we have a second? Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's for the audience. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to address any items that are on the agenda. If you wish to do so, please come up to the mic. The audience.
Anyone online use the raise hand feature or type in the chat? Nope.
Okay. Unfinished business. And we'll go to the Hamlin Park agreement. And we spoke about this in the work session. Motion. Authorize the supervisor to sign this agreement with the village contingent upon the electric meter for the sidewalk. So the football building.
Yes, I don't think that won't need to be in the agreement. The only thing we would want to put in this agreement is that we will be paying for the electricity and gas, right? For the building, the rec building. So I would say contingent upon the addition of.
Let me withdraw that motion.
Yeah.
Why don't you make the motion?
Oh. Yep, so move to approve the supervisor, to authorize the supervisor to sign this agreement contingent upon the addition of the payment by the town of Aurora for the electricity and gas meters that are at the recreation building only. I think that's on, is that on the same meter?
No, it's the one that they use for 4th of July and all the other little events that they have there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't speak about that. I mean, we're not using the basketball court, so I don't know why we would pay for that.
Is that on a different meter, Michael? So we have 3 meters on the page now?
At least 3, yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me to pay for the recreation building because we use it. That I understand.
Use that one day, like probably one year.
And we didn't speak about that with the village either. We spoke only about the meters at the rec building. Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor. Second. Thank you, Jim. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That is carried.
Should have made put a no dog sign, a bigger one in there. Gets me all the time. No, yeah, Hamlin Park. They always have the people go there with their dogs. It's like no dogs everywhere. And then yeah, it's a pet peeve of mine.
Are you asking to have a sign?
No, the village should put a sign up. Yeah. Yeah. What's up? Right. Yeah.
Okay. That's our a motion. Yes or no.
There's an approval by the town attorney of the language in Exhibit A. I move to approve the amendment to Exhibit A of the contract, police contract, what is it called? Contract between the Village of East Aurora and the town of Aurora, provided that the town attorney approves the language in section School Resource Officer FT.
We have a second. Second. So, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have resolution S7602. Yes, Joe, Councilman Joe. This is Joe Beck, Thank you, Jim. For those that are not familiar, this resolution is in response to the hard work of Don's family, Dave and Laura Gunner, Dave being our highway superintendent, who they tragically lost their son. And they are looking to have laws created and laws modified so that it is incumbent upon the agencies that collect donations used for artificial insemination, that they verify the materials and the information provided by the donor. And I will read the whole thing if it's okay. Whereas the Aurora Town Board acknowledges the importance of parents and donor-conceived persons knowing the medical, educational, and criminal felony conviction history of individuals who have donated reproductive tissue to a reproductive tissue bank for the purposes of an artificial insemination or assisted reproductive technology procedure, and disseminated this history information to a recipient and donor-conceived person upon request, if any, and whereas the Aurora Town Board further acknowledges knowing the medical, educational, and criminal felony conviction history of a donor will provide recipients with the necessary information to make informed decisions regarding the process of artificial insemination or assisted reproductive technology procedure, and for donor-conceived persons to obtain essential medical information which may reveal any genetic or mental health disorders, and whereas the Aurora Town Board finds that reproductive tissue banks, including semen banks, oocyte donation programs, and embryo banks, have a duty to collect and verify medical, educational, and criminal felony conviction history information provided by donors on donors' self-reported medical, educational, and criminal felony conviction histories, and during the donor screening processes, and to keep detailed records of such for use by recipients and donor-conceived persons, if any, prior to a procedure and in the future. Therefore, be it resolved, the Aurora Town Board fully supports the passage of New York State Senate Bill S7602, sponsored by Senator Patrick M. Galvin, and supports further efforts to ensure both parents and donor-conceived persons have access to verified medical, educational, and criminal felony conviction histories for all donors. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution? I'll make that motion.
Second.
Give a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Can I just have a brief discussion? I have 2 or 3 things to say. I'm amazed at the courage of our family. It was obviously a very difficult decision to publicly pursue this in the way that you did. And it's incredible. And I think it's going to have really positive repercussions for so many families. The federal government, I didn't really know about this specific issue until this was brought up. And looking into it, the federal government has left it to the states to regulate this, and the states where they don't regulate it allow the facilities to regulate themselves, which is my understanding resulted in no regulation on that. So I think it's amazing. And the one experience I did have similar to that as an attorney was that in order to get the information for a client who was sick, we had to go through the court process. We had to go get a court order from the service court in order to obtain it. And that took time and time and time. They were excellent, they were expedient, we were able to get it. But I think something like this is going to be a step forward, even peripherally, for families who are looking to get some information, children who are looking to get some ancestral information, certainly for medical. So thank you, David, thank you, Joe, for putting this together. Certainly thanks Senator Galvin's office for listening and actually doing something about it.
Anything else? And I want to thank you more too. And it's got to be hard for you, Dave, and we're all behind you on this. And I'm gonna recommend to the towns that they also adopt this resolution. Thank you, Joe.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. I first came to Jim a few months ago and told him what our plans were. He knew how hard it would be. Since then, the whole board has gotten behind me. It's definitely the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I never realized how tough it is to pass a law. Right now, there's over 5,000 of them in Albany, so there's just one. Because of this bipartisan support, I think it shows where this could get done. We're real hopeful. Councilman McKeon has helped us with some connections on one side, and with Senator Galvin, it's moving along very fast. On top of that, you mentioned federal. Congressman Jacobs is also writing the law right now too. This is a journey that we didn't ask for, but anyway, thank you.
Anything we can do to make me. On the board.
Right. Moving on.
That was great for me.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Next is our agreement, Highway 284 agreement. This is an agreement between the town superintendent of the town of Aurora and the town board. It's pursuant to 284 highway law. We said the monies levied collected by the town to repair and improve highways received from the state aid for repair and improvement highways shall be expended as follows. And that's on this $140,950. That's going to be set aside for primary work and general repairs upon 59.30 miles of town highways, including culverts, bridges, so forth. And then Dave Boyce lists what he's going to do this year and Underhill Road, Lexington Sweet Road, Emory Road, the distance of 1.66 miles. It shall be expended not over the sum of $320,000. Did you want to talk on anything?
Yeah, I just want to thank the board for it's a major investment. This is the second biggest one since I've been here, so I appreciate that you're willing to fund such a big investment towards our roads. It's a good one for us. I think all the residents of Underhill will be really happy over that. So thank you.
Davis, yeah, plans since he's been in office to upgrade the road systems. Every year he does something different. I think it was 1 year that we couldn't do it during COVID, but
Done really well.
yeah, but every year, so just like our truck idea that you have just replace them and we're never caught up with having to do a bunch of work at one time. Just got a consistent flow in it.
Yeah, it's been with the help of the board. We've pretty much eliminated all that in the highway. We're down to 1.1 million at one time. We're down to just over 100,000 left. So the board is very good at funding and rotating these roads and the trucks, like you said. So that's why I always am very thankful, because it's a big investment and we've really come a long ways. or the board members have been here since the beginning. It's quite a difference in the truck. This used to be oil and chip, and now we've got a lot of roads on it. So,
Well, years ago, we bought 5 or 6 trucks all in the same year, and then buy them all. The problem with that is.
we're all shot at the same time.
5 years ago, yeah, but rotating, it's a good idea.
Yeah, and also too, we do all the work in-house now too, whereas in the past, these aren't locked out, so I believe we get a bigger bang for the buck right now. So again, it's a great investment, and I hope every year we continue to keep on this path.
Dave has done a great job of expanding the highway equipment too. We have a gravel truck now and.
Very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
We have a motion to agreement. Agreement. Of the highway department.
That motion.
You want to accept?
Second.
Okay, we'll do this roll call. No. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That is carried. Next, we have the budget transfer. From Captain Mounted. $12,500. Town attorney. Town attorney salary is per January 10th, 2022 town board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have the retirement of Elaine Schultz. Resignation letter, please accept this. My formal resignation from the town of Aurora. I want you to know I'm grateful for the opportunity and experiences I had while working in the child protection department. It's been a sincere pleasure working with all of you and all the staff at the recreation and senior center for years. It's a bittersweet feeling to lead a position I have enjoyed for so many years. I want to spend more time with my grandkids traveling, enjoying some hobbies. And I just haven't had time in the past. Please let me know if you need any help forward, make this transition. My stay will be February 10th, 2022. And the first day of retirement will be February 11th. She's been with the town, I think, 30 years, Martha. Just a great employee, great person, very passionate what she did with the rec department. She truly missed. I have a motion to accept her.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck, wait a second. Second by Jim. Any discussion?
As you said, Jim, Elaine certainly put her heart.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And is carried. What's that? Communication reports. We have the 2021 town clerk senior town clerk tax. The next annual building department annual, historian annual report, and the December 2021 supervisor.
I can just say here, Jim, that Rob's report was amazing.
Yes.
Just great work. Not to knock the supervisor report, which was also very good, but the historian report was a little more exciting. Yeah. Yeah, that was a great job, Rob. Thank you so much for putting in that effort.
All right, this is from the.
I had the honor of representing the town this Saturday at the West Falls installation, fireman's installation event. It's always a great evening. It always amazes me when they're handing out awards and so on, how many hours and how many calls that these are volunteer firemen. Like 300. However, this year, at some point in time since before COVID, they've gone to a point system. So I don't know where that was, but I'm sure that the volunteers just devote so much time, and it's just truly appreciated. And I think it's a great evening. It's a lot of fun. I had the pleasure of sitting next to Chief Krieger. He had a great evening. And Bill came here.
Yeah, I never read, right, so. But, before, between, the election and getting sworn, I sat down with everybody, including Chuck and Jim, and they said, you know what, we're gonna have arguments, about what to do, and then at the end of the day, we're gonna shake hands, and that's gonna be, disagreements. See? And I'm gonna, yeah, exactly, I feel like I'm home. So, and we've had disagreements and, the handshakes afterwards, and I appreciate that, and, went to the planning board meeting, and, the people that were, installed into the planning board were welcome, with open arms, so I appreciate that. Tim and everyone else, as well, so, thank you for that. You know, I've known you guys for a while, and you've always been gentlemen. I appreciate that. Thank you, Martha, for all your help, you know, trying to understand this as we're going along as well, so, thank you, appreciate that.
And are they still talking to each other after that board meeting?
Yeah.
I came to the very first, I think anyway, it was one of the very first board meetings that I was in council. I got home and she said, there's a reason they call it board.
I don't get it.
If they haven't struck, oil, it's a half an hour stop for it. Thank you.
I was fortunate enough to take a tour of the baseball fields. I know Chuck got a lot of time invested into the project over at the pool park. Tim Searle from the planning board, but also the Action Club was nice enough to join us. And I was Superintendent Dave Gunner and the Sullivans, and Amy just pointed out the things that they need and common sense stuff and places where they're lacking, both aesthetically and safety wise. So it was very informative. We saw where the pickleball courts are planned and the whole thing, and EA baseball, we had a chance to talk basically to the Action Club to set their informally their expectations of one another as far as the turf fields. So it was great. Afterwards, Dave was nice enough to take me on a little tour of some points of interest. So our gas wells, which I never used. We should be millionaires. Exactly right. It was riveting. Everybody.
And to your point, Joe, we're gonna have to sit down and start putting together a plan for this ceremony. Before we can decide what we're gonna give away, we gotta decide what we're gonna do.
Yeah, how much we're gonna keep for ourselves.
We got putting costs to it, ideas that we have, ideas that are idea, and pick from what we think is important. Part to money to use all residents benefit from it. That's what federal money is supposed to be. And so we've got 2 years to do that, but it's going to go fast, and we got to start coming up with some plans for that. So.
I agree. I looked at some plans, and by the time we got to the baseball night, it was showing up with incomes on. So I would appreciate the opportunity to
You put some costs to it and start figuring out a budget, I guess.
And the word, just to make sure the job is clear. Since those drawings, those drafts were wasn't just a sketch of it over there. It was clearly important. I appreciate that.
Yeah, speaking of money, do we need to get more than one quote on any improvements to this room, or is one from?
Depends on how much it is.
Yeah. So they promised it's 3,000 the limit. Yeah. All right. So the Great Lakes did promise Great Lakes, right? Did promise to get the estimate over by the end of the week to make improvements to this room. And we'll have to schedule a work call, they said, to get the hearing impaired equipment up and running. The other thing I just want to sort of warn the board, the zone committee or the district committee, which is Chuck and I and Martha and Liz and Tim and Doug from the planning board, that we completed our work on the main new zones, the C1, C2, and C3 zones in the C general section. And so Chuck and I are meeting to finalize some things with that on Wednesday. Then we're going to send it over to Bridget, and then we'll send it out to the three of you for discussion on the next board meeting. So we'll make a small presentation and talk about how we got here, what we did, the reason behind it. But just there will be some work to put in there. So. Yeah. So the plan that we came up with was to set the public hearing at the next meeting for the final meeting in February. And then we do have a question and the seeker at the next meeting. And then the question is, do we need to have a special meeting before the end of March? Because the 28th is like right there before this moratorium is over. So we'll work with Bridget on getting, are we comfortable with the 28th or not? And if the moratorium is over on the 29th of March, then we can do it on the 28th. If not, we may have to have a special meeting that we'll set, but we'll get an answer on that. So, and then moving forward, we have the West Falls overlay still, and we have design standards and landscaping standards that we're going to continue to work on. So we're still plugging away there, but for the main bulk of the issues, it'll be up for discussion next meeting.
Disappointed.
Everybody, 350 Oakwood Avenue. I just wanted to remind people that with all snow, it's important that they dig out the fire hydrants. I know some of them have been down already, but we're continuing to get snow this week. So look around your block or your area if you could just get there and save the first responders a few minutes of digging out.
Thank you, John. Anything else?
Anyone online, use the raise your hand feature or type in the chat.
Find the staff reports. I'll start with Rob. Liz?
Rural Outreach Center has broken ground, so there'll be a lot of activity going on there. And I'll be over there pretty frequently for inspections. And Aurora Middle is winding down. We have 15 house permits left to issue. 15. Yes. So we could be wrapping that up this year. Okay.
Very good, thanks. Shane?
Nothing tonight, except thanks for the support for this group.
Jen?
The highway department's doing an excellent job. We got 3 first-year plow guys this year, and we can already been tested the past couple of weeks. Especially the storm roll on Day, they worked around the clock and we really did a good job. So it's nice to see.
Rob? You're on here too, staff reports. Oh, he did, okay, I didn't hear. Wasn't paying attention.
Okay, and the motion to approve the abstract?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried, and the motion to adjourn. I'll make that motion. If you want to take over that responsibility, by all means. Yeah, I'll second. Any discussion?
Aye.